What is going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of Respect the Game podcast. My name is Edward, raised after three trilogies, that being my mother, my pops, my OG, and my grandmother. Please follow at EMAC Stats for all your up-to-date high school, collegiate, and professional pro sports coverage. Will not disappoint. A lot of content coming out, getting ready for the Super Bowl, and you have the All-Star weekend. I could be lying about that. I think the All-Star weekend maybe this weekend. But nonetheless, you're going to get sports coverage nonstop following at EMAC Stacks. Shout out to my brothers on this pod too. Oh yeah, Sean Hart Izzo, I guess, hood intellectual, charismatic. Sean Hart Izzo. He is running a little late, but he will be on the podcast. So normally kick it to Sean Hart Izzo, but running a little late, but he will be on the pod shortly after we get it going. So shout out to Sean Hart Izzo, charismatic hood intellectual.
It is the host with the most and blows the most smoke. Black Peace, the rap plug, the hip hop plug. You already know. I got my own podcast myself. Be sure to go check that out after you check out Respect the Game podcast. That's Talkin Smoke. Check me out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, really anywhere you get the dope podcast from. That's where you can find me. Find me on Twitter, Instagram. Let's go.
What's good, beautiful people? I am Sedation Xavier Miles, the one and only. And I just skipped Christian again, so I'm going to let him have
it. Oh, what's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? This is Coach Johnson. I am the husband of Jordan. I'm the father of Harper and Deuce. Today, no controversy, but I am here to help you reason out your thoughts just a little bit better and help you see the game just a little bit clearer. And then now we're going to take it on over to Sedacious.
Well, I already kind of prematurely did mine. Thank you, beautiful people, for tuning in. On behalf of me and my brothers, we love you and we thank you. Respect the Game pod is on IG, so go follow that ish.
True.
Yeah. All right, and today for the Respect the Game pod faithful, we have another special guest. This is somebody who was very, very dear to my heart. He is my younger brother. But for those who are sports fans, for those who are fans of the U, it's all about the U. You may have seen him on the gridiron and on the track. He played for Al Golden and Mark Richt in the defensive backfield. This dude was flying on the football field. He's ran a 4.2 540, was flying out there, and he's run under a sub 1000. He's I think ACC champ, or I know he was in the ACC finals. He'll correct me on that if I'm wrong there. But in the corporate world, this man broke records for Northwestern Mutual in the financial securities industry. Now he's breaking records in sales for Drive social media. It is my little brother, just got married, finalized today, Josh Johnson.
Before you go, Josh, I just want to say free my dog Lobos. All right.
Hey, you know from way back when, it's free Lobo all day.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, so I appreciate the introduction, man. Happy to be on the podcast. Two-time All ACC in track and field quads. That's the only thing that you missed there.
I know I was missing something. I know I was missing something, man. I got all the accolades. All the accolades. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So Josh, how's it feel, man? You're officially a married man now. How's it feel to be married? Why'd you decide to get married? Enlighten the people.
Yeah, for sure. So I was just talking with Mom about this morning. She was like, "Man, you excited? You nervous? You know, how you feeling?" And ironically, I feel so normal. You know, I feel like to me, when I proposed, like that was like the wedding night for me. I was like, am I gonna do it or am I not gonna do it? You know, like that's the time where it's like we get to say, you know, we get to, you know, take a step back or turn if you want to turn. And so in my eyes, I feel like I've been married for like this entire year and a half. But it feels good. I think one of the things that I guess caused me to change my mindset to get married is I think it's like a path to manhood, you know. I think that like going from like boy to man is kind of like going from boy to leader of family, you know, and like getting married, like starting that core is the first step. So I'm like enjoying this like just this journey of like watching myself almost grow from boy to man. I think this is just like the coming of age thing for me too. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I don't want to take up everything here from the rest of the guys. That makes a lot of sense. What let's see. What are your like hopes for your marriage? What are some things that you might be scared of? And then what are some things you might be looking forward to?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, I mean, I think kind of the big elephant in the room when it comes to marriage is like I don't I don't want to get divorced. You know what I mean? Like
Gotcha.
I don't want to fail. Like I want to make sure that this thing is as successful as possible and that, you know, both parties like follow through on the commitment. And I think that's something honestly that I struggle with a whole ton in like dealing with long-term relationships, you know, like I come from a family of divorce, you know, I love my parents, respect my parents, you know, I think that, you know, sometimes, you know, life just happens, you know, and it's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. Um, but I guess that I never really got to witness what would be quote unquote like a successful, you know, marriage. And so that's like a natural fear um, that you come into, or at least that I'm coming into, you know, the relationship with. So I'm very intentional about making sure that I'm trying to lay like a really good foundation. So like
Okay.
that foundation, you know, can last a lifetime and that you know that I you know that we do have a successful marriage. So sometimes it's kind of like you're looking back at, you know, how you were raised or what you saw and you're like, okay, like like what was right, what was wrong, like what can I correct, you know, what can I do a little bit differently to make sure that like the generational, you know, cycle doesn't persist, right? Or that I can like start a new, you know, a new path. If that makes
Gotcha.
sense.
Gotcha. And then for the listeners, because you know they may have their own ideas about what they saw when they were growing up, and maybe come from like something similar, right? Either they grew up in like a single parent household, or
Mhm.
grew up, as children of divorce, some of that, or maybe didn't see what a maybe ideal or what they would consider a good marriage like, right? So we all have our different definitions of what that may be. But what are some things that you you don't have to put everybody's business out there, but some things that you like,
Yeah.
hey, you know, I kind of want to do this differently. You think that'll help you to have a successful marriage?
You know, and here's the thing. Here, this is one thing that initially, like early on in our relationship, I fought Alyssa on. And Alyssa is my wife, by the way, guys, and we haven't given her a name or credit the whole time.
I
Alyssa,
was getting there. I was gonna get there.
yeah, yeah. So one thing early on in the relationship that Alyssa like, it was one of those things that was a what do you call it, like a deal breaker or like
Mm-hmm.
something that you have to have. And so when we first like moved in together, I was just working a ton. You know, I'd be working till like 8, 9 o'clock some nights. And at one point she was just like, hey, like I can't do this. Like we have to have family dinner. Like that's something that she grew up with. It's something that like she had in her household. Um, and it was something that, you know, we really I didn't grow up with, you know, like I got home, you know, from high school, elementary, like I was at the track or on the field like till, you know, 8 o'clock at night, same way that I would be in the office, you know, 8 o'clock at night, just trying to like grind and put in the extra hours. And
Mm-hmm.
so I never, you know, I didn't grow up with that. And so that's something that we really kind of like fought on. And then I was like, all right, we're just gonna like we'll do it. Like I'll try it. So every day, like I made sure that I was home at a specific time so that we could cook together and then we eat together. And like that was gonna be the time where we talk about everything. We made sure we had like that quality time. It gave us a opportunity to work on a task together, to communicate together. Like I don't know if y'all cook or not, but there's a lot that goes on in the kitchen. And if you're cooking in pairs, like there's a lot of communication that has to happen. Um, and so that's one thing. And then I can go and complete my work afterwards, like if I need to, but just making sure that that we have that built into our system. I think that that's one thing that I definitely would I take away from her side. And that's something I'll definitely like make sure we continue to implement throughout the marriage.
I know you said in the past you struggle with relationships or long-term relationships. Just officially married, signed the papers, getting ready to have the beautiful ceremony in a week, less than a week at this point.
Mm-hmm.
When did you know Alyssa was the one for Josh?
I was ready for this question. I was ready for this question.
It's not a podcast. We don't ask that question.
I was ready for this one. So let me tell you, man, the story of me and Alyssa is kind of crazy. And this goes back to, I guess, when I was making a transition in my life, like from being an athlete, trying to figure out what I wanted to do professionally. Now that, you know, the thing that I had been preparing for since I was like 3 years old was kind of done. I was at a stage in my life where I was like cleaning house. You know, I was cleaning house on everything. I was cleaning house on, you know, friends that weren't necessarily adding value. I was cleaning house on a lifestyle that wasn't adding value. I was cleaning lifestyle on people in my circle that just weren't adding value. You know, like, and I think at that time I was dealing with a lot, you know, like how men are, man. It's like you go out and you try to conquer everything. Like you have that phase in your twenties. Like let's be honest. It's like you're letting a lot of people into your space and into your energy, right? And I think that if you let the wrong people or too many of the wrong people around your energy, like that's going to bleed over into your life. So I was at this stage where I was like, man, you know, I don't really need to be in a relationship right now, but anybody that I talk to has to be a contender. Like they have to be a quality person. Like they have to be adding value to my life. Like they just like that was just the mindset that I was in. Like I was going out on dates, but they were interviews. And it was like it was like, hey man, like if you're and I wasn't like, I know that there's a lot out there where it's like, oh, like what do you bring to the table? Like it wasn't like that. It was just like I was like, are you gonna add value to my life? Like, are you gonna like add value to my journey? And so I was like really in that stage. And then me and Alyssa, man, we our first date was a date that I was given this and she hates this story. I was giving this girl this one last chance to go on a date. And I was like, man, I know she's gonna ghost. Like I know some type of excuse is gonna come up, like whatever it is. And she did. Like she made an excuse, but I was like, I'm still gonna go out like this night. I'm still gonna do like my plans. And maybe I meet somebody, like who knows. And then literally right before I was about to go out, I ran into Alyssa. Like we had never really talked before. I ran into her and I was just like, yeah, man, I'm about to just go like grab drinks by myself, you know. And she was at a stage in her life too where she just started to open up herself to like, you know, opportunities of like a good guy. So initially she was like, I don't really know, like whatever. So I was like, yeah, shot my shot. She said no, but then she freaking pulled back. Like she pulled back. I'm about to get into my car. She pulls back with her car. She's like, wait a minute.
Hey,
She's like, you
shooters
really?
gonna shoot, man.
Yeah. She's like, you about to go to this place by yourself? And I'm like, yeah, man. I was like, you trying to go? And she's like, yeah. So we literally had that one conversation, and like in that night talking to her, like I felt like I met my match. like mentally. You know, I felt like I met somebody that was just as hungry. Like she's super driven, you know, as a person. Like I'm driven. Like she was hungry. She had like this like grit about her, but she had this like very like professional side. So I knew that she could like, you know, swing both ways. We call it like code switching, or like I just knew that she could play the game, you know, and like I was watching House of Cards at the time too. So I was like, man.
I just want to interrupt you real quick to say she's giving you a very lovely answering machine setup, by the way, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Really that actually is my old assistant on the
Oh,
answer.
really?
Yeah. That's an old one. Shout outs to Melly. Melly's still in the friend group. You see at the wedding. But but yeah, man, I met someone who I felt like changed the game. You know, I opened up my life to making sure that only people of value came in. And then this was someone that just like kind of just was so different than anyone else that I had actually like encountered. And so then I said, all right, I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna give it a shot. Right. And then the more if you have a question.
How long have y'all been together?
Since 2017. 2020 and 2021 has just like messed up my count, but July 14th, 2017, however many years that is, I think it's like 4.5.
Yeah, 4.5 years
Going on 5.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, John, how long did it take you to know that, okay, yeah, I want to marry this girl? I don't know if that's been asked yet.
I think it was probably year 2. So we got into this stage where I knew she kind of changed the game on me, but then she became my best friend, which was weird, and I never had that before. I always had like, oh, that's my girl, but these are my dogs, you know, you know, a previous relationship. All my previous relationships, they were never like my best friend. They were just, you know, like my girl. And so, man, like when Alyssa became my best friend, I was like, dang, I don't even need to be out with the boys right now. I was like, yeah, I don't even need. I was like, I'm kind of good on going out.
She the homie too.
Yeah. And it was weird. And I was the first one of my boys to get like that too. So I was like, you know, it was weird because like my boys were like, damn, you know, it's like how's that possible? And now they all got girls. It's like, well, that's my best friend. It's like, I don't need you.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, Quaz, I started to like really consider that Alyssa was gonna be my wife probably about year 2. Because one thing about her, man, is that she challenges me. She challenges me to get better, right? Like I'll hit a milestone, and then it's like, dang, here's the next level of improvement, you know. And so I got to this point where I felt like I was being a good boyfriend, you know, like I felt like I'm checking all the boxes here, but I'm missing something. And I think like I started to try to figure out how I could treat her better, you know, as a partner. And it's gonna sound so weird like when I say it, but I started to look at her as if like, what if she was my daughter? You know, like what what would I want for her if she was my daughter? Like how would I want her to be treated? Like, you know, you talk about like the, you know, like love languages and everything. And I guess this is like daddy mentality. But I was like, you know, I started thinking like, you know, and I started analyzing like her relationship to her father. But it was like I'm just like, you know, how how can I treat her better, like as a partner, as a girl, as a person, like how can I treat her better? And it's like, well, I would want to treat her like I would treat my daughter, you know, because then I guess you start thinking about like family, and it's like, what kind of guy is your daughter gonna have? You know, so when that kind of shifted in my mindset, um, I guess like I shifted into yeah, like I'm gonna marry this girl. You know, I didn't like drop on the knee that day, but it was like that was the shift in mentality that led to saying like,
Hey,
yeah, it's gonna be
yeah.
wife.
Hey, so two things real quick, Josh. So one, the comment I made the other day that it don't take more than 2 years to figure out if you want to marry a girl. I was pretty right on that one. We were talking. We were talking about somebody else.
Um,
But it's funny that you brought that up, Josh, because one of the pastors that I follow frequently, he wrote a book back in I think 2007 called "What He Must Be to Marry My Daughter," right? And he says that a lot of men end up buying that book and start judging themselves like, man, dang, I haven't even been this, and they try to start emulating those things, right, in their marriage, right, so that the daughters know, what to look for, right? So, and it's funny that Edward, I saw your face. It's funny that my mind went there and your mind went somewhere else. But so.
You talking about on the 2-year thing?
No, I'm saying when Josh said that he started looking at Alyssa like his daughter, you made a face, and I was like, it was so dumb.
Bro, I didn't say anything.
But you made a face. You made a face.
I didn't make no face. What are you talking about?
Go back when you added the pod, you're gonna see.
I know what you're talking about, but I want to say something. All right, so you know what I want to say when he said that, but I was like,
what to say?
So she calls you daddy? I'm sorry, bro. I can't help it. But Josh, I don't know if Dacia's done there. I don't know if y'all had any questions.
No, I'm good.
All right, Josh. So you find out in that 2-year mark that, all right, I want to marry this girl. Yes, you don't drop down on the knee that day, but like, what was that transformation process leading up to when you knew you wanted to do it to that day when you dropped down on one knee? Like, what structural changes was you making, or whatever you felt like you needed to do to get to that moment? What was that process like for you?
I honestly, I went on a spiritual journey, bro. I went on a spiritual journey because the moment where I knew that this was about to be like long term, that I wanted it to be forever, this little like fear kicked in because of my parents and like the divorce. I'm like, damn, because I know what once again, love my parents, respect my parents, and life is just life, man. And I think they did a great job in terms of raising us, right? All the circumstances. But I think divorce is hard on kids. Like, it's hard on the family structure. And I think that was the one thing that I was just like, I can't do. That's like the one like bit of damage that I want to try to prevent myself from causing my kids or my future kids. And so I knew that like if I was gonna commit to this, that I had to be balanced in that decision and in that approach. Like, I had to be at peace with everything, and made sure that I was ready as a man to take on that task. And that was before I proposed. And so what I did, once again, like, my mom is probably not going to be happy with how I discovered plans, but all great things for me happen on a drunken night taking notes. And Alyssa came to the office one day. We were going to like a happy hour. Everybody who knows me knows that by like 2 p.m., 3 p.m. on a Friday, I got a drink in hand. I don't care if I got 3 more meetings. Like, I just got a drink in hand. So by the time we get to 6, man, I'm fairly elevated. And so Alyssa came in, and she was talking, and we're having this conversation about like where we see our life going. And she was just, she was telling me, yeah, I think I want to have kids, at this age, and I like to be married, like at this, or we were just really talking about kids. Honestly, we weren't even talking about like marriage. And so she was kind of like saying like what her ideal timeline is. And Alyssa is I'm a young buck. I like to call Alyssa a cougar, but she's not. She's just a little bit older than me. It's like 2 years. And so I never let her live it down. But I'm thinking, and as I start thinking about her, I'm thinking like, okay, we got to think about like biological clocks. We have to think about, like finances, like all these things. And so we're having this conversation, man, and I start writing this stuff on a sticky note. Like I write that like she wants to have like babies by whatever year. And so then I start backtracking, like, financial planning at its finest. I start figuring out like, okay, at what stages do we have to hit these certain milestones so that we're on track. And so I write it on the sticky note and I put it away. And then I like every 6 months, like I look at the sticky note to make sure that I'm on track. Like from there, it's like, I got to get my finances right. Like I got to make sure that, everything is pristine. And then I have to like make sure that, spiritually, like I'm pristine as well. And so, but what I didn't realize is that like it took me like over that year, I like kind of revisited that sticky note like twice, but I manifested like the date of our engagement. Like what's crazy is I wrote on that sticky note like 12/7/2020 I was gonna propose. Right. And then I ended up proposing on 12/12/2020. But like I hadn't even like revisited the sticky note for like a year, like since I like wrote it down.
Wow. Yeah. So that would be shortly after me, right? Well, no, that's before.
Or was it
19? Oh no, 19.
19?
Yeah, it's not about me. But
I'm telling you, the 2020, 2021, like the year just it's weird.
All right, so you manifested proposing at the time frame that you did.
Yeah.
But when I first actually heard when your wedding was, I felt some type of way about it. And I was just like, were they not considered, or did they not even think that this is Super Bowl weekend? So did you also manifest having your wedding the same weekend as Super Bowl weekend?
No, that was not a part of the deal.
I was just curious. I don't know if anyone else thought about that, but I did. But yeah.
I'm sorry about that. My apologies.
Nah, it's all good, man. Okay, well, why this particular date? The date that y'all have set for y'all ceremony?
Well, hey, before you answer that, Josh, I do want to give Josh a little pass there because Josh is down in Miami and he knew the Dolphins would not be in the Super Bowl, so
Yeah. Drink to that.
Even though the Dolphins are making headlines this weekend for different reasons.
I got no argument.
I take a shower right
there. Yeah, but why the date? Is it special, honestly, man, or just fit y'all schedule or what?
Yeah, it really just it's because we wanted to get married in South Florida, and if you get married anytime after July, you don't know if you're dealing with a hurricane or if you're gonna have like sunny skies. And then we were planning it, around like COVID, and so we knew that we wanted more like of an outdoors thing, and we didn't want to subject our guests to a South Florida summer, right? Having them outside. And so we chose like early on in the year because it's the perfect time in terms of weather. Like it's super like cool, like, you know, like 70, 72 max. And then at the nighttime, it kind of drops to a nice 60 with a breeze. And then it's very little chances of rain. Like this is like our dry season. So honestly, it really wasn't about planning it. And then we tried to plan it outside of football season too, which is crazy that it fell on Super Bowl weekend. But we tried to plan it as good as possible.
So I had put this question in the group chat earlier with me and the fellas, and I was just like, hey, do y'all old lady make y'all celebrate Valentine's Day? So in your case, hey, you look forward to the future. You got your wedding anniversary, and then you also have Valentine's Day back to back. Is that a 2-for-1? Is that a gift for the wedding anniversary and a gift for Valentine's? And or do y'all even care to celebrate Valentine's Day?
You know, this is, and Alyssa knows my feelings about Valentine's Day. I am not a Valentine's Day fan. Valentine's Day is my least favorite holiday. Pero I partake, right? And also a lot of people asked us this question. For us, that July 14th date that we really like first met and went on that date, we consider that our anniversary. So like we'll forever celebrate that day. That's the day that we'll do like any like anniversary trips. And then we'll probably do something small on wedding day. But as much disdain as I have for Valentine's Day, I also have to make it a special day because Valentine's Day is one of Alyssa's favorite holidays. So, you know, I gotta do what I gotta do. This year, though, I kind of get a little bit of a pass because we're like Valentine's Day is that Monday the 14th, and we're leaving the 15th to go on a honeymoon. So it's like, what better gift, you know, can you give than a week in Mexico?
That's hard.
Hey, Josh, did you do any prep or anything like that to get ready for your marriage or anything? You know,
Yeah.
any guidance or anything, you know, like that?
Yeah. So
marriage counseling.
yeah. So I say two parts. I think Alyssa and I have always been very diligent about our relationship. We haven't necessarily gone to like a therapist to do like couples therapy, but we watched this show on HBO that came out that was called Couples Therapy, which was like probably a year or two before we even got engaged, but that was like our first dose of, I guess, like second-handedly being in couples therapy. And so like we were kind of sharing our own views of what we were watching, you know, other people like go through, and we were just sitting through their therapy sessions, and like I thought that was great. And then shout out to Quaz, right? Christian is going to be our officiant in the wedding. And so we did the couples therapy with him and his system, and that was beyond useful. Like I feel like we unpacked a ton of things and like worked through even how to communicate with each other better, like how to navigate just everything. I think from like mentally, physically, just like scheduling, talking about kids, talking about spirituality, talking about, you know, faith, just kind of like breaking down every aspect of the marriage. I thought that was great, and it really helps us feel prepared to take on, you know, the mantle of actually being married.
Our brother Shineheart Izzo just logged on. I know everybody been anxiously waiting his appearance. So, but nah, you got Sean Hart Izzo back in the building with us. So I don't know, Izzo, you just got on. I don't know if you have any questions off the top of the dome you want to shoot out. If not, we can keep it going. But just giving you the flow, dog.
Man, I'm just, I'm flowing and vibing. I'm happy to be alive. It's been a great day thus far, and continue.
True that. Josh, how much truth is it to when people say, hey, you don't just marry the girl, but you also marry their family? For you, how much truth is it to that statement?
A ton. I mean, I think I've been really blessed on on that end. I've had like no kinds of issues with her family, man. They from like day one, like took me in, embraced me. Yeah, man. I really do love her family too. To the point where now when I'm over there, it doesn't feel like, I'm the boyfriend or the fiance or the husband. Like it's a weird dynamic because I never thought that, like as cliche as it may sound, like where you pick up another set of parents, like in that, I never I never thought that to be true or to be possible. But like the more that we combine, like the more that, I kind of do see them as a second set of parents. And when I'm there, I mean, it does feel like, we're it feels like I'm just like one of the kids there, which is crazy. But also I think it's a little bit different too, because Alyssa is the oldest in her family, right? So she naturally has the mindset of carrying the mantle in her family. And then like Sean, her dad doesn't have any sons, right? So it's like twofold. It's not only is she the oldest, but I'm like the only household aside for him. So it's really like I feel the responsibility of making sure that I hold up her side of the family, like, and his mantle, and she holds up like that mantle, and there's a lot that goes into that, and I think it's possibly because there are no other males, in the household, and that she is the oldest, that it's like I embraced that, and I knew I was getting into it too.
Shout out to Mr. Sean for the family ties, man. Shout out
Family ties, bro. Family ties.
Hey, so for you, right? I don't know if everybody does this. I think you said you did this, Christian, in terms of having to ask for the blessing. What was that phone call like to Mr. Sean to say, hey man, boys want to marry your daughter?
Bro, he ruined it for me. I'll straight up, man. I took my time, dog. I had this whole thing written out, man. I had this whole like speech and build up, and like, hey, like here's what your daughter means to me, type of thing, man. And so we grabbed a little moment. It was to celebrate her sister's birthday, and we were at Disney for the weekend, and like her family is very much a family where they're kind of together all the time, and it's like it's a conversation. Like the moment where you step into the house is basically like an open conversation, and everybody's kind of business is out there. You just kind of talking. You don't really get those like private, like one-on-one moments. So we had to freaking like run something up to like surprise her sister. So we finally got like a chance to just be me and him. And I started off saying like, hey, Sean, I got, I just really want to talk to you about something. And man, he said, bro, you got it. Yo, he was like, say less, man. You got it. It's like, you got it, bro. He was like, I don't even need to hear nothing, man. He's like, He was like, the answer is yes. And I was like, damn, man, I spent like half an hour on trying to make this thing and get prepared, bro. So it was no pressure there, I guess, for me.
Do you have your bars ready for the wedding? For when you give your vow, do you have your bars ready?
No, I don't. I'm gonna honestly, man, I might not tonight. Not tonight. Tonight's not the mental space. I really wanna like I'm huge on meditation, guys. So I say like meditation like all the time, but I really want to like do like a just a little meditation session and really get into like my feelings and like my emotions, and then like write it at that one time. And the moment just hasn't come yet. Like I don't want to like force the words or anything, or try to piece something together. I really want it to come from the heart. So I haven't done it yet, but it will happen before next Friday.
Is there any possibility for you to deliver your vows in a battle rap format?
No. Man.
Nah, I was just playing.
That'd be nice.
Hey man, I don't know, man. Listen, yo, hold me down. What would be something? I look back at my proposal, and like boys was like beyond what the dictionary would describe as like nervous. Is there anything differently about this?
That's an understatement.
Yeah, coming from the person who doesn't have a pulse of how long they talk. Yeah, is there anything?
Wait, come from a person who what?
Doesn't have a pulse for how long they talk.
Literally at all. Dead.
Yeah. Okay. So like
this is about Joshua.
It takes one and one. Yeah.
What you say?
That it takes one to know one.
Says it all.
So if I thought that was long, trust me.
Christian, you don't even have emotions to care about other people and like, going through a sentimental moment. So when I started, you was probably ready for me to be over and done with. But that's neither here nor there. We're talking about Josh.
Let me hop on that train though. I did learn a lot from your engagement or for your proposal. I was like, man,
what not to do.
And I was like, man, I'm just gonna do it like short and sweet and try to get to the point.
Bro, like looking back on it, we look back on it, and I was just like I said, beyond what the dictionary would describe as nervous, but I was just like, yeah, I probably should have just saved all that for the wedding, but like, here you go, you down? All right, bet. But I'm glad I could be a case study for you. Definitely glad I could be a case study for you.
Honestly, that's the benefit of being the youngest. Like, is that I get to learn from most folks before me in this regards. So in terms of the engagement, like I don't think there's nothing I would do differently about that.
What about the planning for the wedding? Even I know that's all done and behind you, but there's anything you feel like, dang, I could have did this better, I could have did that, or that didn't really matter, and I thought that was gonna really matter as it goes to planning the wedding?
I did my best. I wish I could have stepped outside of myself a couple of times, because like someone gave me some really good advice going into the wedding. He said, hey, look, man, take like 2 or 3 things that you want out of the day, out of the wedding, and hold to those 2 or 3 things. Everything else, bro, from your way should be like, yes, babe, that's fine. Like, let's do it. Like that's it. And so I took that advice, but I didn't planning a wedding and like being a bride is very stressful, you know, and sometimes it's just like I don't know. I wish that there were some moments that I handled better and was just like, you know what, she's just stressed about the wedding. Like I'm stressed about the wedding. Like she's just stressed about the wedding. You know, like there's some moments where I could just be like, you know what, it's not even a real fight. You know, there's nothing that we even like fighting about. It's just your stress.
Now, if I'm, blessed enough to have a son in the future and he goes down that path of getting married, I think the biggest thing that people don't talk about, it's like the movies and everything, they they'll show you the beautiful proposal and it just like jump skips to the wedding day. All right.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
like you put all this, like you said, like your Super Bowl, your mom was like the proposal. You like, I'm good, like, you know what I'm saying? But like nobody tells you. It sounds crazy to say, but nobody tells you. You also have
No,
to plan the wedding. Like there's like a part after proposal.
bro.
And I ain't gonna lie, sometimes going through like the planning the wedding process, I was like, whew, I could just like take this proposal back and just prepare a little bit better. Man, that
Oh man,
planning part to get you, man. That planning
they
part to get
don't
you,
they don't prepare you for the mood. And I the reason why I say this is because I told Alyssa today. So I got the green light. I got the green light on this. She was like, she was we just came from lunch, bro, and she was like, man, like, are you happy that I'm your wife? And I was like, yeah, babe, I'm glad we passed that fiance stage. I was like living with a fiance, but that's tough. That's tough. There's a lot that goes into that. Um, but yeah, yeah, I'm glad that we're past that now.
I know you said getting up to that moment, like it took, it's a faith journey that you went on, and feeling like you had to get ready. Do you feel like in this present moment in time, you done signed the papers and you getting ready for the ceremony that like Joshua Johnson is currently ready to be married, or do you feel like it's a step of faith that you're taking in terms of continuously becoming the man you want to become and becoming the husband that you want to become in the future?
Without a doubt, without a doubt. I don't think to me, it's not a commitment to, it's not a commitment to an idea or a title. It's a commitment to doing the work. Like that's where, that's where like my mindset is like I feel like I'm ready today, but I know that, there's going to be things that come up in 2 years and 5 years and 10 years that are going to be another like fork in the road kind of moment. Like every relationship has that. Like you have these like ups and downs in life, and like that's honestly, I mean, I feel like I'm emotional for a dude, you know but like to me, like that's the definition of love. Like, and that's how I know that like I love Alyssa, is because I know that like when all is said and done, like I'm gonna be willing to do the work like for her, and I'll be willing to like sacrifice and compromise and change and like have a conversation to figure out like how can we deal with this or handle this, or like what's the best way forward for us together. Like to me, like that's what I'm committing to, is like doing the work.
Oh, that's love. I mean, like they say, marriage is work. Marriage is work.
Yeah.
So if you committed to the work, that should bring forth a fruitful marriage.
I wanted to hark on a comment that he said. He said he felt as though he was too emotional for a dude. And in the spirit in which you said that, I just want to say, I feel like loving yourself is the best antidote or medicine for anything, right? And I say it in the spirit of like, because I don't want you to view it in the mindset of I'm too emotional for a dude from whose standard, societies, lives, et cetera, et cetera. More so being solidified and confident in who you are, and that'll, blossom into and pour into whatever it needs to pour into. But yeah, it ain't, hypersensitivity or hyper emotional or whatever the case may be. I feel as though it's just, being in tune with yourself and knowing that about yourself. I don't feel like you can be too much of anything. The way we are imperfect is what makes us the very essence of us. So I don't know. I felt led to say that, but
I feel that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Most definitely.
Obviously, getting to marriage isn't always cookies and cream, right? Whether it's something you and Alyssa struggle with in y'all relationship, that it may have seemed like, all right, you're starting to make me second guess whether or not you're really the one that I thought you was for me. Without being too personal, or whatever, but yeah.
No, I think is that, man, we're both Aries. We're stubborn. I think we got lucky. Yeah. Hey, you got a household with two Aries, and two very one thing that I love about Alyssa is that we're very, very similar, right? And that we're both lucky that we agree on most things. Like most things,
lucky.
hey, because that's the whole thing. We're lucky that we agree on most things because we both have this like headstrong personality where it's typically like the way I see it or
I can't
not.
see it no other way. I live with the Aries, brother. So you know what I'm saying? And I'm a Leo, so we both fire signs. And I know I'm a Christian, and I'm not gonna just super dive off into that realm, but being that we both fire signs, it's a lot of cataclysmal moments and events that my will against your will. And what's towing the line of I'm a hyper masculine male. So like I meet confrontation with confrontation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then what toes the line of the character of God and me being slow to anger and then not overextending my hand when I know I can. But it's like, I pray for you, young brother. I pray for you.
I live with it.
I pray for you.
It's like, oh man, yeah. I think that there's very few things that we just like have different views on or different opinions. But man, like I don't know. I think and I guess like one thing that like I've worked on like in our arguments, or like let's say it's just we'll call it like I leave socks like in random places. Like that's my bad habit. Like I don't know if y'all have that habit, but like I just freaking leave socks. Like I'll leave socks like in the couch cushion, like under the couch. I don't know. I just find socks. Like let's say she just gets to a point where she's had it like finding like random pairs of socks in different corners. Like, and that's just the thing that ticks her off. Like I know that I think that as a man, like I feel like my reaction is going to determine her next reaction.
Amen. Amen.
Like,
very wise.
Yes, very true. It's very much so true today. You set the tone. You set the pace.
Yeah. So it's like
superior
if
man.
she comes with like an aggressive approach, like 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna take that and say, all right, let me approach it with love. You know, I gotta love your wife. Props to Quaz. Let me approach it with love, and if I approach it with love, she's gonna have a good response, and we're gonna be good. But that 10 out of 10 times where I'm like, man, I'm tired of approaching with love, bro. Like I ain't got no more love in me, man. Like
I can't give 10% of nothing, Lord.
Yeah.
Nah, for real.
Not 10 times, but
hey, just for reference for the young Christian listeners, that's from Ephesians 5, where Paul tells the husbands to love your wives as Christ loved the church. And so, Josh was practicing that loving his wife.
Love conquers all.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing though is that I don't know. I would love to have one of these conversations with the wives on too, just to see like what their take is like, because like we know that there's a small things that we do on our end that's like, all right, how am I gonna diffuse the situation? But and that's like work that I know that we're doing or that I'm doing that she has no idea about. You know, she can't even give me the credit for that. And like so sometimes I be thinking like we're so similar. Like what kind of work is she doing? You know, in the background that I don't know about, but I'm reaping the benefits of.
That's
So
great. Yeah.
yeah, I like to kind of to figure that out. There can be like a wife's podcast. Maybe Lee can handle that. Don't know. Easy
Yeah.
off on that.
Yeah. Throw Jordan on the track or something. Yeah. Nah. I would say for me in the environment that I grew up in, it was mostly I wasn't around a lot of interracial dating. And then when my brother Darnell met his wife and like she was a Latino, I was like, oh, okay. Didn't really care, maybe, never mind. But I was like, oh, I'm around interracial dating now, right? And then like meet your wife and Alyssa being a white woman, it's like, oh, this is dope. And I told her, it's like, I never realized how much I appreciated the diversity of y'all's family and just being able to be around like a different mix of people and different cultures and getting to talk to people and understand their perception, their worldview, and so on and so forth. Whereas in the past, it's black.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like I don't know if there was ever like if it ever meant anything to you, if you ever cared, if you ever had like a particular type of woman, but like did it ever like mean anything to you, whether or not like she wasn't black or she wasn't a particular type for you, or she was a white woman or whatever how the world may view y'all or whatever?
So it did. This is a Darnell. I feel like Darnell can relate to me on this. This is a it is a tough conversation sometimes to have. I mean, like, look, like I was. God, I know she's gonna hear this one, so I'm trying to.
Oh, this is gonna get you in trouble with like.
No. It's not. It's no. We come from the background, right? We all come from the background where it's like beware, of the white woman, you know. We've seen a lot of things happen where, we haven't come out the other side, like after being with a white woman. And so I grew up with the mentality of like, one, I'm never gonna date a white girl, right? And number two, like I would never like marry a white girl. Like any guy who I seen like that is a sellout. Like that's kind of how like I grew up, like the frame of mind that I had. And then like I said, that first conversation that we had together, like I wasn't considering, actually like dating this girl. Like I wasn't considering, that it be something overly serious. I was just like giving it a shot. Also too, so like since when I gave it a shot and we had that conversation, I was like, okay, this girl just changed the game, right? Which made me kind of rethink really all the I guess the ideologies that I had like growing up. Like I had to reconfigure like the way I was looking at a situation. And so it definitely and it's still a process, like with parents and with families and stuff combining. It's still a process because these are two polar opposite cultures, right, that you're trying to combine. And so I think that like there's difficulties that come with that. As far as our relationship and being like a multi interracial couple, I feel like we live in Miami, we live in South Florida. Like it doesn't feel different. It doesn't feel like, yeah, it doesn't feel like we're in a interracial couple, because like every couple down here is an interracial couple. You
All
know,
right.
but where we feel it is because I feel like I don't really live in typical America down here. Like I get culture shock when I leave Miami and I go, you know, to like Jacksonville or Atlanta or North Carolina or wherever, and I'm like, oh shit, like this is America. I'm like, America's fucking like America's America's a scary place, bro. Like South Florida is like very different, and I think that we're spoiled down here a little bit because there is such a culture of sharing cultures and experiencing different, you know, nationalities and ethnicities and races, and just appreciating everybody for who they are. um and so we kind of got spoiled by that. It allowed us to explore this relationship, and then now that you know, we've explored the relationship, you're kind of like unlearning, you know, some things that you learned in the past, but at the same time you've got to make sure that you don't forget the past and that you like continue the culture. It's like it's a delicate balance of trying to like right wrongs too. Like I'll tell you a story like with her grandma, you know, like God rest her soul. Like her grandma, you know, obviously a older, you know, white female from a specific time where you just know that the ideals that she had in the past were a norm, you know. It just is what it is, you know. That's what she grew up around. That's like how she was. And as she grew, as her grandmother grew, like her grandmother kind of changed her mentality, right? But I was the first Black person, you know, like Black boy that she actually cared for. And me and her grandmother
Wow.
like built a really good relationship, like a really good relationship. And when everything happened, you know, in the summer of 2020 with George Floyd, that was the first time that her grandma was like, damn, like she feared. Like that was the first time where her grandmother felt the fear that we feel, like through me.
I'm.
And that was the time where she could finally like understand like what we go through,
I
you know.
mean,
So,
if she probably would have. She probably would have retuned her thinking back to the old days as she talked to Christian. But
Yeah.
but
Most definitely, most definitely.
yeah, but it like and to me like the struggle of really like combining the cultures, and then you thinking about, you know, us having kids and the kids having two cultures that, you know, they have to learn about, you know, good and bad from both, you know. Like I, to me, I think it's beautiful. It's a challenge, you know, and like some folks, you know, like it, some folks don't like it. Honestly, I'm not here to impress nobody else anyway. So like, you know, it is what it is. But I think most folks that see it and get to like actually get to know us, like they respect it and they love it. So I think it's an enjoyable journey. Like I said, it was about the person, man. It wasn't about the race. Uh, that was the whole thing. Like if it was about the race, um, we, you know, me and her would have never gotten a shot. Like my whole thing with Alyssa was that I found someone that like shared the same values and was, you know, that was like me. And then at the same time, man, like bro, me and this girl like made it out the mud. Like you know what I mean? Like we struggled together. Like we freaking like built something together. And it wasn't it's to me it's not about race, you know. It's about the person.
definitely, man. Love is love. Josh, did you Did you ever foresee yourself getting married just coming up? Is that something you wanted to have, or were you anti-marriage, or you just like whatever towards marriage? But when you were younger.
Nah. I mean, I had never really thought about it, honestly. I would think about kind of like being a dad, you know, like I would think like, oh, like how would I be as a dad? But all of my visions in the past before had kind of just been like me solo, you know. I had never really like envisioned, you know, like marriage or family. Even so, I was always like a relationship kind of guy. It wasn't until this relationship, you know, with Alyssa where I saw that as what I wanted.
Okay. Now I asked you that question because you know some people they could care less for marriage, but then you look up and it's like, oh, he's getting married. I wonder what changed. But I mean, yeah, I didn't know if you were just anti or just you had never ran across the female that put that on your heart to be like, maybe I want to, you know, tie the knot, so to speak.
Well, you know what? I think that's a lie. I think I fib. I've always been a romantic, so I've always like a kind of like, you know, wanted like the true love, like Hitch, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like that's to me like that was like one of my favorite movies. But I never really connected like true love forever with marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always kind of saw those as like two separate things. And it wasn't just until like recently in the last couple of years where I actually like started to take marriage a little more seriously and like see that as an option.
Wow. So you feel like you just not starting to like take it seriously?
No, I'm saying like with like in the last couple of years, like that
Oh,
was
years. Oh, okay.
yeah. No. And like in this process is when like I kind of like started to realize like, oh, okay, like this is what marriage means. Like this is like what, you know,
I
yeah.
got you. I already signed the paperwork, bro. Like I keep saying, you get married less than a week. Where is your mind at right now? I know you say you don't really feel that much different from like actually signing like the court papers and stuff like that. But where is your mind at this current moment? And how do you envision that big day being?
My mindset is I'm really waiting for the freaking caterer to send me a link to pay him so I can be done. That's where my mindset is, to be honest with you, man. I gotta freaking hit him up after this because I've been trying to pay this guy for weeks. Um, but really, where I'm at, man, is I'm gonna try to be as present as possible for every moment, like that day, from Thursday on. Um, I'm gonna just like that's my focus is just try to be present in every moment and like soak it in. You know, don't worry about going to the next thing and the next thing. Just like really enjoy. And it's a small wedding, man. It's 65 people of the most important people in our lives. And I can't tell you how like just blessed I feel that every single person right now that's in my life, I feel like is for me and I'm for them. And those are the people that are going to be present. Uh, and I just, you know, I just feel really, really like blessed for that particular moment to be able to have that. Aside from that, like my mindset is that I just really can't wait for us to just like enjoy this first year being married and to start like to just sit on the sideline and watch the rest, you know, unfold because I can't wait to be a just an attendee of the next weddings and like relationships to come and bloom. I'm ready to get out of the public eye, man. And yeah, man. I like living like a really solitary like lifestyle. Like I love making moves and no one knowing about it. And so this has been one of the most uncomfortable years for me. You know, I'm like used to being like in the like I'm used to being in the limelight, but since I stopped being in the limelight, like it was just enjoyable to just like do my own thing, make my own moves, like figure out who I am as a person. And then you have this whole year where it seems like everybody is just watching. Everybody's watching. You know, everyone that you care about too is watching and asking questions and trying to see how you feel, like all those things. And I'm just really, really ready to like.
Is there anxiety in that? Because I want as much peace as possible for myself as I get close to that day, but at the same time, like I sometimes like feel like it's gonna be a lot going on, and I'm gonna be like getting worked up. Like, have you experienced any anxiety leading up to all of this, or?
Oh, of course,
okay.
Of course. I think the biggest anxiety one is that like. All right, now we're really getting into it too. I don't know how much time y'all have. I can talk all day, but I don't know like what.
Well, let me try to let you off in a couple of minutes. I don't know if Christian coming back, but yeah. Trying to get the meat and potatoes for the people, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, if y'all got time, I got time. But I always. I love playing the game. I'm very competitive. Like I love, Permian Panthers, bro. Like I love being perfect, and I've been that way all my life. I love like performing at a high level. Like I love like following a process. And so that bleeds over into the wedding, like into a public marriage, right? Like when you're engaged and everyone's kind of there. So you always want to make it seem like everything is going perfect, 100% of the time, and that like what's going on and you guys like aren't having like issues. But like this has probably been the year, especially since we're trying to stress test our relationship and uncover anything that's gonna like mess something up down the road. Like
any holes in the boat.
yeah. Like this has been the most challenging and rewarding year of the relationship. But like every day is not sunshine and rainbows, man. Every day, like I'm not ecstatic and like it has ecstatic about about the wedding and everything coming up. Like you got families and everybody coming in, you try to make sure everybody has a good time. There's a ton of anxiety that goes into that, and that's another thing that people don't talk about, like how much like, man, it's hard, and I'm just excited to exit that and be able to just like enjoy the relationship, with wifey.
Yeah, nah, I definitely envy you. You get to do everything, on your home soil. I got to travel back and forth to and from. But hey, uncomfort, discomfort breeds.
I might have to do that too, man, but it's all good. It's all
good. You're going to have to thug it out. You're going to have to thug it out, dog. Yeah, man. I was able to do my taste testing. I did that last week, and I did that with my mom or mama, and she's just like, "I'm so proud of you. I'm just so proud of you." I'm like, "Bro, we eating food. Relax. Like it ain't that bad." But I know, like you say, family happy to be a part of the process and so on and so forth, man. But I
think that's the one thing that I do feel that's the one thing I feel a little torn about too, because like like from a guy's side, like I don't know how you feel, but it's kind of tough like to have like your mom involved in the wedding, like as much because like especially like as much as they don't like to hear like it's their day. You know what I mean? Like the
Maybe not for my mama, but I think for the bride's mom, I think it's like very much so like their day as it is the bride's. And thankfully some brides mamas aren't so they know how to like, put the light on their daughter, but I definitely think it's about
well, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like it's the bride's day. And so since it's the bride's day and I'm kind of more reserved about, things that I want, like I know that like I know how much like weddings mean to women, if that's a generalizing statement, but typically, right, that it's that it means a lot. It means a lot to them. And I feel like I've been very passive about throwing in like my mom's like anything that she may want, because I'm like, it's not our day. It's not our day, mom. I don't know.
Nah, man, but you baby boy though. I think I told your mom she's gonna we may need to get her like her own personal makeup artist for the day, and possibly even you, just so they could keep her makeup intact, because I know she's gonna be full of tears of joy, I believe, from beginning to end and thereafter.
For sure.
For your good day.
That's what the makeup person is for, though.
Yeah.
This is a question for actually everybody that got officially married with a ring, because I'm common law married. What was the decision on getting a ring? Did you feel like you need to have her opinion come from your heart, or was it just like a little bit of like investigation?
I'll tell you like my thing is that one, I knew she had a little thing on Pinterest where she took like some screenshots and stuff, and I'll kind of like ask her like what she wanted, or like in a more subtle way, like not directly. Like I'd be like, oh, like you're kind of out and you're like judging other people that you may see, like, oh, like you like it, like what'd you like about it, and I was like, oh, what would you like one on yours or whatever. But I basically like one day when she was sleeping, I like went on her phone and took like screenshots of her like Pinterest page with like all the rings and stuff, and I sent it to myself and then deleted the text messages. So then I just like I designed a ring that was kind of similar to what she had on her Pinterest and stuff. But it to me, then I just kind of like I picked something that I felt like would match her aesthetic, match who she was or is.
Do you feel like there's a such thing as a? I know I asked for who. Is Christian still on also?
No, he gone.
Okay. Also, that applies to you too, Edward. But just to also add on to that, do you feel like there's a such thing as a wrong ring, and what is that? In light description.
So I think it's based on the girl. Like it's based on the girl. Is that every girl has a right or wrong ring? Like I know Alyssa's wrong ring. Like I know like she hates like oval cut. Like so if I would have gotten her an oval cut ring, she would have been like, yeah, like it's a great ring. She probably wouldn't have said anything, but I know that deep down she'd be like, this mother got me an oval cut. Like like that would have just been the wrong ring for her. But it's I think it's based on the person,
Nah, it's just to echo Josh, it's definitely based on the woman, your lady, because there's rings that I see that I'm like, oh, that'll be fire. Like I'm trying to like ice out shorty, like bust down, like that'll be fire. But like she don't really want that. That's on you. You know what I'm saying? You can't, and you have to like take ego out of it to be like, I want them to know my girl woo, and like let it be what she wants it to be. great question about rings because I have a enormous pet peeve with wedding bands for men, whereas I under no circumstances want the plain Jane.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
talking about I want to look like I just won the Super Bowl. You feel me? That's all I'm saying. And so I don't want that plain gold band. Like I don't want that to say like I don't want a ring that says, "Oh, he married." Like my ring need to say,
He happily married.
"She got one. She got one. She bush. Hey, she iced them out. She cashed them out." So yeah, I think wedding bands for me like I know it's commitment to say I'm married, but like I also feel like it's a fashion statement. My mom and daddy married 30 plus years, and my pops, he never wore his wedding ring just because like work the type of work he do. So I never really like seen that as being like I have to, but I believe, you know, my girl would obviously want me to wear mine, and I'm just like, look, I'll wear it, but it need to have that fire on it. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Need to have that water on it. And so like, do you care? Have you picked out your wedding band yet? Do you know what you're getting? Does it make no never mind to you? Or how do you feel about men's wedding bands?
Yeah, so for me, I'm kind of the slight opposite of where you are, and I think it's a perfect. Honestly, that was a perfect segue in terms of rings because like your ring probably wouldn't be the right ring for me.
Yeah,
Um,
all right.
because I know how my wedding band looks, and I wanted it to be something that was like sleek, but also had like a little taste of flair. I wanted it to be like a subtle like elegance to it that you have to like look at it and then double take and then kind of get into it. You know what I mean? Um, but like that's it. I thought that's a perfect a perfect juxtaposition of like how every ring could be right for the right person.
Hey man, insert Jared sponsor here. Or K. Every kiss begins with K.
Because this is actually a good conversation because you never hear the conversation about the man's band. Like you always hear about the
bro, they be
woman with
looking
their rod.
trash. I'm sorry to
So,
interrupt you, bro.
but that's good. I'm glad to actually hear that because it's just like I didn't even think about that. I was about to just take the plain Jane with some like, hey, I get one, but it's like
You
know,
deserve better, my brother. You
no, not even
deserve
that. But
better.
I just look at it like I'm gonna look at least from the perspective of all right, like I don't want flair, I want me, and I want to be like me with the representation of I'm happy and if I'm proud. This is something I rock. Just like you
Yeah.
said, like you're more of a flair person. That's who you are. You like flash. So therefore, represent your flashiness with your pride in the relationship. So I respect that. Both sides. Like you want some, like Josh wants something a little bit more representation of himself. You want something more with representation of yourself, but in a certain look of like, hey man, this is I'm in this thing right here, bro.
But that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't even consider myself like a high flashy person. I like to move in silence, and you know what I'm saying. Like if I got something fashionable on, like I'd rather it be like a watch that like you ain't gonna really know what it's hitting for type. But as it relates to like me taking pride in being married and me like holding that in high esteem and high regard, I want my ring to say that too.
You have a champion's heart, just like you have a champion's heart. That comes from your love of sports too. It's like it's a representation. Like it ain't just me playing the sport. It's about me earning and being the best at the sport, showing that pride. Like it ain't nothing if I ain't winning the ring. And that's how you look at it. Like it ain't nothing if the ring don't say it's something, at least to a certain extent of like outside representation from a person that doesn't know you. Because of course, at the end of the day, like once you start talking about it, that's gonna show you representation. But if someone just walks past you and looks at you like, oh snap, yeah, that ain't good. I don't think I need to be pursuing him, talking to him wrong. I probably need to find his girl and talk to her first because that's some I don't know, like no negative intentions for this man because he's good. It's not gonna happen.
All I got to say is my name is Shine Hard. It's that.
You already know what that means. His man.
We are upholding a standard around here.
What'd you say, Isaac? Use the context clues, baby. Use the context clues.
This is the standard.
So honestly, you kind of have that. You have that mindset of like the pressure's on the female because I feel like you may have it covered, but like being who you are, being like shine hard. Do you feel like that put pressure on your girl to shine hard?
First off, absolutely I do, because your partner becomes a lot of, you know, whether you like it or not, your habits and your dealings, especially if you're a leader, you're a real alpha male. We're called to lead, right? Especially, you know, if God is the head of that, right? As a man, we're called to be the head of the relationship. So as me being the head and me being a leader, I'm taking the good with the bad, right? So even more of a call for me to walk upright and be, you know, more Christ-like and put on that, not even just more so put on the character of God every day, more so just embody it, so that, you know, when me, because I do have an infectious personality, even like, you know, just since I've been young, like, and I kind of hated that, but kind of like people start to like act like you'll rub off on you, but you know, as you know, begin to grow, it's not more so I guess a burden if you just know how to wield it, and you know what you're doing, and I guess you being worthy of everything you so think you deserve if you leave, right? So yeah, man. And I ain't even tell her to do that. Like, it's just we both. I don't know. Like,
so the pressure's off for her.
Because even that kind of. I mean, I would take it as one of the most highest forms of a compliment, bro. If your woman sees, you know, you suited enough to where she feels as though, you know, she can take and be like you a little bit. If those are, you know, godlike characteristics, you know, that's a high honor. I feel like, you know, especially for the person you're supposed to be evenly yoked with, to want to, you know, you done rubbed off on her. And I feel like naturally, like anybody who's been in a long relationship, or, you know, husbands to be, you know, you kind of find yourself like you see it in your girl. You know, you wake up one day, it's not like something I would have said. Like, you know what I'm saying? You might get over here talking with somebody. Like, damn, it might be me in there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
my lingo. You go, girl.
Man, with my girl, she threw on the touchy bed when we first, you know, when we were on our first couple of dates, and I hit the group. And I'm like, man, bro, I think I found the one. I ain't never been, you know what I mean? And I don't take stuff like that for granted, because what are the odds that we both, you know what I mean? I don't even play around like that, man. It's all in God's divine timing, but I just try to be worthy of wearing that crown. If she gonna pull something from my bag, or if I rub off on her, you know, hopefully it's just the good stuff that I'm portraying, and you know, I'm walking upright to where it's already understood. So
true indeed. I believe this is my last question, Josh. Not that we have to end, but I think this is my last question. I think obviously, yes, we as men, we're going to grow and we're going to evolve, but I think there's a core that we all have individually, and your core could be made up of whatever. And the reason I chose to, you know, propose is because I knew my wife to be she was always going to be in alignment and helping me with, like, as I grow and as I evolve, I know my core is always going to need and want a woman like the one inside in the marriage. So, but I feel like to know your core, know what your core is, you have to like truly know yourself. Yes, you're going to grow how you may think one day. It may not be how you think a couple of weeks, a couple of years later, but your core is always going to be that foundation of who you are, whether you're 20, whether you're 80. And so I just feel like in order to know who is the one, I feel like personally, you have to know yourself or know your core at bare minimum. Do you agree with that statement, or do you disagree with that statement, or do you have a different statement for how I've worded that in terms of knowing the one, but more so knowing yourself?
Yeah, Walletier. I know that's know yourself, Drake. That's the opener. Nah, I agree with that 100%. You know, I think I don't even have anything to add to that, bro. Like you just took You took the words like right out of my mouth.
Okay, then. Now, this is something I wonder, you know what I'm saying? Because you look at people who get, you know, divorced or just regular relationships, people break up, or you're not who I thought you were, or I'm not, you know, why did we break up? It's not you, you know, it's me. And I just think as I think about where I'm at now and I think about past relationships, it's just like, XYZ girl, like she wouldn't have even been right for my core. You know what I'm saying? Whereas this woman, like my wife, is like, yo, like she, you know, she speaks to my core. So that's I wonder if that's a universal feeling for those who have been, you know, in a healthy marriage for, you know, however long. So yeah.
Yeah, I ain't even gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie, man. It's kind of it's weird to say, but like growing up, like my sister, you know, your future wife was my closest sibling, right? So she was like my, yeah, right there, stay together. She was like my best friend growing up. And it's what's so crazy to say is that early on in the relationship, I found so many similarities between Alyssa and my sister, like just their personalities. And like it, I think Alyssa's probably like the first. Yeah, I mean, she's the first girl that I feel like I really just can't be like myself with, like happy, sad, like, you know, upset, like tell her literally, like she's the first person I feel like I could like 100% just be honest with her about like what I was feeling or what I was thinking, and I knew that she would, you know, she wouldn't like judge me. And I think that's like probably like one of, at least like for me, like that's one of my deepest fears. It's like being judged. And so like she wouldn't like judge me for how I felt about something. I was just able to be open with her in like a safe space. I don't know, like to me, like that's kind of got away from the core, but
No, it definitely sounds like your sister, bro. Definitely sounds like your sister.
yeah. And also, bro, also being the moral compass, my sister would be quick to say like, hey bro, like remember how you're raised. Like don't you ain't gotta go out here and like, you know,
Yeah.
that's I don't know, man. I think like exactly how you said, like someone that aligns with your core. And that's one thing that I want to make sure that we focus on is like growing together, is that obviously you evolve and you change, but you gotta make sure that you're consistently like growing together and checking in and figuring out what the other person, how they're perceiving the world and life around them, like so that you're able to like understand their perspective. Like that's so key to me.
Right on, man. Right on. Shout out to Alyssa. Maybe next time, once y'all had y'all ceremony, we may have to bring y'all back on just to talk about the wedding and recap that. You know, people say
Yeah.
it flies by fast, and
I do have one question though before you end it though. I do have one question.
sure, do your thing.
Is so like in our relationship we have made decisions together, and it's been really easy because we're you know people who think with our head logically, but then that decision comes with your gut, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
we have both had a really good like intuition, right? And so as we've transitioned into, you know, marriage, right, we've gone into that stage where it's like, yeah, I am, you know, man of the house, like
Mm-hmm.
the person that makes that decision. But I really do value her decision making abilities, and
Right,
I value her intuition, because to
right,
me her intuition outweighs my intuition, you know, a lot of times, because I feel like sometimes she just feels things, you know,
right.
a little bit better. What's y'all's take on that duality of leading a household and leading a family?
It don't matter.
I feel as though in my personal situation, I feel as though I have grace enough to draw the reins back and not try to take the lead on everything, but naturally, my woman doesn't mind being led, but it's some things that she feels really passionate about, or that I step back and take a passenger and and kind of let her lead the rock on it. But I feel as though it all boils down to communication, man. I feel as though having a clear line of communication and communicating expectations of how you feel as though things should be ran relationally, working through problems, critically thinking through, what if situations, whatever the case may be, as long as you all are committed to growing together. Because I feel as though if you not, it's so cliche to say, but it's so true. If you're not growing together, you are growing apart. I don't care what you say, because the same person you met 7 years from now, biologically, physically, physiologically, even from the neuron receptors in your brain, different pathways get created every some odd year. So quite literally, you are talking to a different person. You need to be trying to fall in love with your partner and be committed to that on a daily basis, right? Because as we grow, you grow into somebody new, and that's why you still keep date night alive. Even me and my girl was just talking about it, like, damn, babe, we ain't, went on a date in a minute, but obviously I had my situation, I had my wreck, and physically I wasn't able to do a couple of things, but it's so pivotal, to continuously get to know that person that you're with, because we all grow, and if y'all, like I said, if you're not growing together, y'all just growing apart. So I just think that embodies, how things are going to be ran, how things will be led. I'm not married, but I feel as though we all just trying to get it right? Nobody's an expert at just one thing or another, but as long as you all are committed to that common goal of getting better at not quitting, right? Big Crit said it best, the only thing difference between the winner and the loser is winner plays until he wins.
Yeah.
Come on.
You either working to get married or working to stay married.
Nah, really. Yeah.
For your question, Josh, I think for me, and I think the biggest thing, as I said, is like communication. There might be arguments, but like they may seem like so peaceful because like there's like genuine like seeking to understand. And when you talk about just making decisions, being head of the household, it's just like playing to each other's strengths. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
hey, this situation right here is like presented itself for us. I ain't got experience right here. All right, but you do. Cool, bet. I'm gonna trust you to lead the way on this. You know what I'm saying? Whatever male household situations are, the truck or the car, like they talking about this, they talking about that. All right, it's my turn to shoot the ball. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's some men, they can get caught up in their ego. Yes, you want to lead, but like you have a helpmate, you have a partner there for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like this is about y'all like collabing and working together, playing to each other's strengths. And so yeah, man. For those who may be listening, like play to y'all strengths. If she ain't got no strengths, brother, one may say you wasting your time. But that's not for me to depict, man. But yeah, man, yeah. And I know from part, so yeah.
I want to say your mindset is in the right place. Getting into the marriage, it is about duality, and simply put, teamwork makes the dream work. So that's it. That's the epitome of a good marriage, is that you guys can be a team and overcome whatever it is that your marriage has to go through.
Appreciate that. Hey, man.
Indeed. This has been a great episode, man. Definitely probably have to have you and Alyssa come on just to talk about the wedding and stuff. For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to seeing y'all in a couple of days. Beautiful people. We may or may not give y'all a Super Bowl episode this week, but regardless of the Super Bowl, you gotta love podcast. You gotta love episode this week. Talking about love, talking about marriage. As always, we do not take y'all listening for granted. Please follow me at EMEX Follow Sedacious at Sedacious. Follow Black Peace at Black_Peace. Sean Hart Izzo at Sean Hart Izzo. Coach Johnson is you just get at us as if you're trying to get at Coach Johnson. I know he's taking a break from social media right now, so it may be hard to find him. I don't know, Josh. You have any Twitters or anything else you want to plug? I'm gonna tell you.
Instagram Josh.authentic. Go ahead and give me a follow. That's about all I'm on.
I know you're in the medical field, Alyssa, but I will say don't frown at starting your own DIY company because you are absolutely fantastic at that. So so follow Josh to follow Alyssa. Shout out to y'all and y'all getting ready to embark upon a beautiful journey of marriage that brings forth many blessings as well as individual growth. Love you, beautiful people. We will see y'all next week.